Welcome back, and today I'm going to talk about my Biden versus Trump fall prediction. So let's start. And there we go. So first of all, for the state that is almost a safe state, I'm gonna talk about Colorado. So Colorado, in 2020, it was in fact technically a safe state according to my margins. So Biden's coalition is not gonna be as effective as it was in 2020 when really it was almost the best case scenario for Joe Biden, but he still is able to win Colorado by 10% to 12% and just barely misses out on this state being a safe win for him. And now for, another state that is close in this scenario, so to a safe margin for Alaska. So Alaska in 2020, it was in fact in 2020 it was 10%. So come 2024, I do really think that Trump, I don't see him being able to win here by a safe margin, even against Biden. I think Alaska is just, I'm going to say around 9% to 11% at best for Donald Trump. It just doesn't look like he will be able to win here by a safe margin. And yeah, so for another, before I talk about Ohio, so you can see, Iowa's a safe state, so they go to Trump by 12% or more. It's also because, he might pick his running mate from here. And yeah, that's really about it. So Ohio was one of those states that didn't move at all from 2016 to 2020 almost only a 0.1% margin. And I really don't see it moving that much. I still think it will vote to the right of 2020, of course. But I'm only going to say it goes to Donald Trump by 9 to 11%. Just like Alaska, I don't see it moving too much to the right, and it's still not a safe state for Donald Trump yet. And yeah, so for the 2nd district in Maine, so in Maine, went to Trump by 7%. 2016, it went to him by 10%. It's probably going to be the same, not that much of a difference. It doesn't go by a safe margin yet, but he wins here by a decent chunk. I'm going to say 8% to 10%. And now for the, the most interesting states that people are looking out for Texas and Florida. So in Texas, it's a pretty establishment state that Donald Trump failed to do well in 2020. He almost barely won here by a lean margin, and I don't see him improving that much compared to like 2016. I think Donald Trump, he's able to win here by a likely margin, but only around 7 to 9% at most. And yeah, that's it for now for Florida. So Florida, the home state of Donald Trump, at the moment he could actually change his home state to another state if he picks Ron DeSantis as his VP. But in Florida, 3.4% 2020, 1.2% 2016. I really think it's almost inevitable if Trump runs that Florida will swing once again to the right by a decent chunk. I think he wins here by 5% to 7%, an easy one for him in this state. And yeah, before I forget, let's talk about the Maine at large. Yeah, Maine at large. So for Maine at large, 2016 it was really close, but in 2020 it really took a hard swing to the left. And I really could see this either being lean or likely. It's really, in my opinion, around 4 to 6%, but I'm gonna lean this as a Biden win by 5%, really, just above a likely margin, and really tells you how things are going. So for the next likely states, so for the state in Virginia, this is one of those states that Trump is really disliked in. This is one of those states that also took a hard swing to the left from 2012 to 2016 and then to 2020, as you can see. So there's also the chance that this state actually votes by a safe margin. Could actually happen, in all honesty. But for now, depending on Biden's popularity, that will be a deciding factor in how this state goes. But I think that Virginia, I think it goes to Joe Biden by 8 to 10%, just a small swing to the right from 2020. And yeah, that's it for the safe states. So as you can see, it's still quite neck and neck. Biden has 206 and Trump has 219. So let's start off for the lean states. So for the first one that just comes to mind, I think New Mexico, with a Latino trend happening, I do think this is going to be harder for the Democrats to win by a big margin. In 2024, I think, 10% was really good win for Biden, but the Latino trends is not looking great for the Democrats. He still wins it here by a lean margin, but still, a lean margin is not that great for a state in the Southwest, so Biden wins here by 3 to 5%. And now for another key state, so for Minnesota. So Minnesota is another state that I think it drops off from 2020, but it still votes to the left of 2016, and I think Trump does have a lot of Rust Belt appeal, but it just won't be enough in Minnesota. Democrats just have a stronghold over Minnesota, and they win here by same margin as New Mexico, 3 to 5%. And now for, another state that I'm quite interested in, I think, North Carolina is slowly trending to the left, but it's really going to take its time to vote for a Democrat. So North Carolina, 2020, it went to Trump by 1.3%. 2016, if we go back, it votes for Donald Trump by 3.7%. So this is really quite a hard one to predict. It really depends on who Trump picks as his running mates. If he picks Blackburn or Ron DeSantis, I think this will not blue North Carolina. I mean, this will be a lean win in my opinion, no matter what. Donald Trump either wins here by 1 to 3% or 3 to 5%. But I'm just gonna go out and say he wins here by 2% to 4%. I think that the middle ground does make sense, and he wins here by around 3% in my opinion. And yeah, so which state should I go next? So for the state of New Hampshire, so New Hampshire is another interesting state since it almost flipped to Donald Trump in 2016 and barely missed out on winning it. 2020, Biden comes in and it almost goes by double digits, and it was almost a huge win for Joe Biden. Still a big win, but still, yeah. So 7% 2020, it's gonna take another swing in 2024, but it just depends on which direction it could be. I don't think Joe Biden will be able to win it by that much in 2024. He does get close to it, but I see, I don't see Trump doing that well unless he picks a running mate from this area, which I doubt. So I see Joe Biden winning this state by around 2% to 4% around that area. Could even be as high as Minnesota. So yeah, going more to the really true toss-ups in the lean areas. So for the first one, let's go to Arizona first. So Arizona, this is where the Biden coalition was seeing quite a lot between the McCain Republicans that voted for Joe Biden 2020, and just overall the trends that really helped Biden win here barely. But seeing everything, the coalition that he was able to make, I don't think it will last long because of how the policies differed. Because bear in mind, a lot of people, 3.5% 2016, thought Joe Biden was going to be like Bill Clinton 2.0 in some ways. So I don't see him having a chance in Arizona that well. Many people thought he was going to govern like a centrist, but that's how things go. So yeah, I see Donald Trump winning here by a lean margin. Of course, I don't think, as long as he doesn't go for John McCain every single time he talks about Arizona, he wins. Trump wins here by a margin of 1 to 3%, so decent one for him. For the really, really close ones for Wisconsin, so Wisconsin is by far, alongside Arizona, one of the most likely states to flip in 2024, and I see it easily flipping for Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump, the Rust Belt appeal he has, will help him quite a lot, and Donald Trump wins here by a lean margin of, I'm going to say 1 to 3%, an easy one for him, this state. And yeah, so for another lean win for Donald Trump, for Pennsylvania. In the state of Pennsylvania, it is technically Joe Biden's home state. So he was able to get a boost in this state and barely won here by 1.2% technically. But, with the economic ordeal happening, it's really not looking like too good for 2023. I think 2022 is going to be an okay year for the economy. I don't think there will be a recession this year, but it is quite likely that we will have some hardships in the next year, 2024, which is why I do see Donald Trump winning Pennsylvania by barely by a lean margin. It's probably going to be the same margin as what Biden won in 2020. So it's really around 1% to 1.5% of that, around that area in my opinion. So As you can see, oh wait, before I go to the tilt states, so for the last one, that is the Nebraska 2nd District, so I see Joe Biden easily winning here once again, but not as much as before. Biden does have some suburban appeal, of course. He has for a decent chunk of time, and I see Joe Biden winning here by 1 to 3%. I think, he wins the 2nd District almost no matter what, unless there's some third factors like economic recession stuff. So sorry about that, sis. I was saying I see Biden winning here by 1 to 3%. And now for the tilt states. So let's start off for the first one that I think is really a high tilt state. So for Nevada, I think, the Latino trend, as I talked about earlier on, I think will be a big factor for Donald Trump in this state. If it keeps going to the right as it has done in the last 2 elections, it is likely to, it's basically 100% sure that it will vote to the right of 2020 and 2016. And I see Donald Trump, he's able to get a lot of the Latino vote and would be the best candidate for that vote. And I see him winning here by 0.75%, an easy win for him. And now for basically the true toss-ups in this prediction. Let's start off for Georgia. Georgia, 2016 it was a likely win. Then in 2020 it went to Joe Biden by a small margin of 0.23%. I think the trends are even too much for Donald Trump in this state, and also the fact that Trump doesn't have the best appeal to more, establishment like states like Texas, Arizona, and North Carolina. But still, I think Joe Biden will be able to win here by a margin of 0.5%, barely winning Georgia once again because of the trends. And now for the last state, for Michigan. So Michigan is one of those states that is going to be the closest one, in my opinion. As you can see, 2020 2.8, but in 2016 it barely went to Trump by 0.22%, and I see it once again happening. I think the working class appeal, alongside the Biden's popularity not being as good as it was back in 2020 and before the time now, I see Donald Trump barely winning Michigan, and he wins this state by his smallest margin of 0.25%. And as you can see in this rematch, Trump wins with 296 electoral votes, while Biden has 242 electoral votes. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video.